Recent events at the University of Oklahoma has me now commenting on a topic that I had wanted to publish years ago, but never got around to it. It's now quite timely. Samantha Fulnecky is a deeply religious student attending OU, although I don't think that she is necessarily a creationist. She turned in a reaction paper to an article on gender studies. I consider the article worthless junk science, but evidently its results pleased the transgender graduate assistant who assigned it. Samantha's essay was not well crafted, but undeserving of a 0. I scored it at 15 out of 25, and later lowered it to 12 out of 25. In a past video, I explained why using the GA's own scoring rubric. However, a 0 is what she got, and the feedback from the GA indicated that Samantha's supposed character played some role in the decision to completely dismiss her efforts. The GA has since been dismissed as an instructor. Such a dismissal is unwarranted on the face of it. I would have assigned some anti-bias training. However, none of us know for sure what happened behind closed doors. The GA's dismissal may have been reasonable if certain things were said. There seems to be a real animosity toward religious students among scientists, although the weaker sciences seem to hold the deepest grudges. I have taught many religious students, both here and in California. I'm not religious, but I consider myself an ally of Christians, at least when they're not advocating societal changes I find illogical. In this video, I will present my approach toward teaching creationists, who are the one group of Christians that scientists have singled out more than any other for ridicule. I have no idea if Samantha is a creationist. Probably not. So please, again, don't assume she is. This video is not about her. So you're a science teacher and you have a creationist in your class. What do? Stick around and I'll tell you. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Okay, so here goes. Strategy 1. Respect your students. I've always taught my fair share of creationists. They have always treated me with respect. And there's little doubt that their religious beliefs have helped many of them turn their lives around. There are tons of former drug dealers, robbers, and all-around despicable creatures who have bettered their lives through faith. The Bible has somehow, and I'm not sure how, set them on a path toward happiness and good, clean living. One way to disrespect them is to make snide comments about creationism during class. Don't do that. You are speaking from a position of power to belittle them, which could be considered bullying under certain circumstances. And why make people feel bad? What does that do for you? Strategy 2. Don't pick biblical arguments with them. Unless you've studied theology at fairly deep levels, you don't stand a chance. All you'll probably have at your disposal are websites that cherry-pick biblical passages. They're often taken way out of context. When the devout read their scriptures, they believe that some inner truth manifests that we cannot see. To them, truth just reveals itself in ways that transcend the mere words on paper, a process called revelation. And I know that their detractors don't want that to be the case. And who knows, maybe they're right. Regardless, arguing with a creationist about what the Bible says is a losing battle. You won't convince them, and sooner or later, you'll say something that lands you in trouble with the administration. It's really difficult to challenge a person's belief without denigrating their belief, and the university has policies about making such comments. You're not just buddies arguing over coffee. You're an instructor, an agent of the institution. Be careful what you say. Strategy 3. Don't pick scientific arguments with them. At the very outset, you need to understand that as students, they're just as much your customer as anyone else in the class. The customer isn't always right, of course, but usually you try to avoid antagonizing your customers. It's not your classroom. The university provides the learning space and employs you to teach them a view of the world that science supports. Yet, all too often, we think we have the golden fact, that nugget of science that will embarrass them into changing their principles. But that's not why the university hired you. And you'll find it tough sledding anyway. There is probably nothing you're going to offer in your argument that they haven't already heard a million times. And perhaps you offer something that they can't explain. Just because they can't explain it doesn't make them wrong. Conspiracy theorists like 9/11 truthers employ this logical fallacy all the time.
Well, explain what? The third tower fell.
Perhaps I can't because I haven't researched that area yet, but my lack of a response doesn't mean that your theory is correct. They believe that the Earth is only 10,000 years old, or 6,000 years old, whatever. Fine. Their belief isn't harming you any. You're not the sole protector of truth. And that brings us to strategy number 4. Don't assume science is infallible. In your classrooms, you are presenting scientific claims. That doesn't make them true. Science cannot hold anything to be true. It can only seek truth. It can never find it. Along the same lines, science cannot prove anything. Math can. Science cannot. All scientific principles, with 2 notable exceptions, are empirically based. That is, they're formulated from experimental results and observation. Typically, we make tons of experimental observations, and from those we develop models that draw strong correlations between these observations and other factors. The purpose of these models is to establish these correlations and, usually, use them for future predictions. If these models attract strong enough support, they become laws. But while laws have garnered widespread support, they're not infallible. In fact, many laws in physics are known to be inaccurate. Albeit useful in certain situations, Newton's second law is a prime example. And if physics with its incredible precision and mostly objective approaches can't prove something, you know the other sciences cannot. Now, we develop theories to explain the mechanism for the existence of these models and laws, but theories are not infallible either. Consider evolution. The fact that living systems evolve is undisputable. We can observe that in the lab. We use that scientific fact to develop a theory of evolution. For example, that man is descended from the apes. That theory of evolution could very well be in error. We may have it wrong. You might say that the evidence supporting the theory of evolution is so strong that it is undisputable. At one time, Newton's second law had far more evidence supporting it, and it came tumbling down in 1900 thanks to Max Planck. Okay, so what are those 2 principles that are not empirical? Those would be the conservations of energy and momentum. They're derived from the most fundamental understanding of space and time symmetry. So I guess when it comes to those 2 principles, we could probably call those facts, I guess. Strategy number 5, respect your students' right to an opinion. As we just learned, when creationists say that science cannot prove that the Earth is so many millions of years old, they're right. Science is not infallible. We can use scientific models and laws to predict the age of the Earth, but regardless, that age is purely derived from scientific principles. It might not hold to be true tomorrow, although I personally believe that it will. So when assigning an essay on evolution or geology, craft your language that you're expecting a response from a scientist's viewpoint. It might not hurt to explain that no student is required to adopt this viewpoint. In other words, don't corner them into expunging their belief systems to earn a passing score. If you know that you have creationists in the room, you can craft a question like,
according to the scientific model, explain the theory of evolution.
They can answer that question because the instructor is not requiring them to adopt the scientific viewpoint. And you might even explain this at the start of the semester, that you are going to be crafting these words very carefully to respect everyone's religious standpoint. And they'll appreciate that. In the end, teach your science, but don't be a dick about it. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.